The US and UK have launched strikes in Yemen in response to attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea. So why have they done this, and what does it mean for the Middle East? The military strikes launched by the United States, Britain and other allies are in response to attacks by the Houthis. They are a Shia militia group in Yemen that have been made on commercial ships in the strategically important Red Sea. Now, ostensibly, the Houthis say they are carrying out these attacks in solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza. Israel has launched a war against the Hamas forces after October the 7th attacks inside Israel. Now, there have been a number of attacks on commercial ships since then, starting in November, and effectively what's happened in the last week is this coalition of allies has said enough is enough. They've now launched military strikes on more than 60 targets in Yemen to try and degrade the Houthis' capabilities, but also to send a message and try to restore the deterrent in the region. The Houthi group has been around since the late 1980s. They were formed in response to Saudi Arabian influence inside Yemen. Now, originally they were a kind of ragtag militia, men fighting with aged Kalashnikovs, but over the years they have become a much more formidable fighting force. They now control the capital Sana'a and much of the western coast along the Red Sea, which is strategically hugely important, so they wield a great deal of influence. Now, they're backed by the Iranians. They're not really a proxy of the Iranians, they're more of an ally, but certainly their arsenal has been bolstered by Tehran over the years, and they see themselves very much as part of the axis of resistance that's been set up to try and stymie Israel. They call that the Zionist entity, but also the United States, which they see as a sponsor of Israel. Now, they have said in response to these attacks that they really relish a fight against the US. They're not going to back down, and if anything, what they say they're going to do now is launch more attacks in response to what they're calling Western aggression.
The Yemeni armed forces will not hesitate to target the sources of the threat, along with all the aggressive targets inland and at sea in defense of Yemen, its sovereignty and independence.
We are already seeing condemnation in many of the countries where you'd expect. Now, Western officials have been very keen to try to stress that these military strikes don't have anything to do with the Israel-Gaza war. They don't want to be seen as fighting on the side of Israel. They say that the attack on the ships is a separate issue.
We need to send a strong signal that this breach of international law is wrong. People can't act like this with impunity, and that's why, together with allies, we've decided to take this action.
But the reason the Houthis say they're carrying out these attacks is to stand with the Palestinians as an act of resistance. So many people in the region would either see it as untrue, misguided or disingenuous, this narrative that it is a separate issue. The Houthis say they will desist their attacks if the war in Gaza stops, if there's a widespread ceasefire and the blockade is lifted so aid can get through to the Palestinians. That, though, is unlikely to happen in the short term. It's not clear at this stage how long the Israeli fight will go on. It says its stated goal is to significantly degrade or finish off Hamas as a military power inside the Gaza Strip. Of course, the big danger is the longer all of this goes on, the greater the chances for even bigger regional escalation and a wider conflagration.